Dear Thrive, we are in the process of implementing a new platform into our company, but I have no idea if we are doing this correctly. I don't know if we've thought enough about the opportunities and challenges. We've just spent a lot of money on the tech, and essentially, I don't know what I don't know. How do I get clear guidance on building our roadmap and maximizing the opportunity without having to spend more money on an agency to support the implementation?
I can go first again here. Spend money on the agency, support the system. Get
No, don't do the agency. Don't
Oh,
do the
not the worst
agency.
oh,
starting point.
come on, service is vital. No, I mean, look, I think that if you are struggling with any implementation, experts help you. There are experts who aren't agencies who can help you. Experts at the platform itself, experts kind of like in communities that like going out and finding someone who knows this stuff and asking them like the three critical questions that you do and paying for lunch. Like those are low key ways that you can do this. But then also being kind of like open and honest that like consultants can provide value and so can agencies on occasion. I kind of in a similar vein. I saw a LinkedIn post recently about um, it was like a story of two startups. One person, where one startup they built the website themselves, and it cost them, you know, whatever that cost, $500 because they did it all themselves. And the next time they paid $20,000, and they were
Mm.
like, the experience was noticeably worse because I paid this agency and they just rolled out a template and it felt like it was from 1990. I think that like partner selection, both in terms of like making sure that platform was the right platform, which I'm sure you've done, then making sure the implementation is done well. Because the worst thing you can do is implement it poorly and like have very low uptake and use. And then that's the cost analysis of like if I do a poor implementation
Mm.
that it has low uptake, does that cost me more than maybe spending a little bit of money on an agency relationship or a consultant or someone who can come in and kind of drive that expertise?
I, I think the key with this one is to actually know the business outcomes and what you're trying to achieve and identify the user audience, target audience and speak to them. That's the best way to build out your roadmap and try and understand if you're going the right way or not. So you would need that information before you go external as well. So I would focus on internal first and using your customer base and then decide whether it's needed or not, test and iterate.
Mm.
I love this question. And to be quite frank, it's part of the reason why we also created Dear Thrive too. Because if you think about the plethora of choice with technology and AI tools and things like that, you just don't know what you don't know, right? And so in this case, it sounds like they have chosen their tool. So to your point, they have already, done their due diligence and have picked the capabilities of this platform that integrates well with their tech stack in the business. But you're absolutely right, Alex. Agencies definitely have a role to play, but because they're thinking about, well, how does it implement into my existing tech? They don't quite know what they don't know, and so the cost of an agency can blow out substantially if they're not having that clear brief and clear outcomes, as you say, Carla. And so you'd almost go, right, lean on your platform to go, who is companies that have done this before, who've done it well? Can I just speak to a few of them, right? And so go to that expertise first. Pay for consultant for an individual expert or what have you. Start with Dear Thrive. Um, and then you can craft a brief to an agency if appropriate to actually get the most out of that implementation and that now next long approach, I suppose. And then I guess outside of thinking about your sort of goals and things like that, you've obviously got to rally the rest of the business, your key stakeholders in the organization, and bring them on the journey. Because you doing it as a single team, you doing it as one person in marketing or technology or whatever, is not going to work. You've got to bring the business along the journey to support, because there's a lot of pitfalls and roadblocks along the way for the implementation to be done well or really badly. And so goals and strategy, implementation with key stakeholders, and getting expertise advice before you might go to an implementation agency or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think there definitely is a time and a place for an agency, but I think we're in agreement here, Amanda. It's just like really getting clear internally first, bringing people on the journey so that you don't just get someone in, they come in and try and implement all these things, and people aren't taken on the journey, and then it takes longer, which is
Mm.
what you don't want.
What I'm hearing from this, which is really interesting, is that agencies have a massive perception problem. And this is not a surprise, right? Like, I'm not like, woohoo, everybody loves spending money with agencies. But there's so many, like, outside views on problems are often extremely helpful. And like navigating internal politics is often really easy when someone external is doing it. One of the things that I've kind of reshaped my career around is being able to offer more kind of independent advice that's not dependent on, and also that comes with a $50,000 a month retainer and this and that and the other. But I think that there's a really, like obviously both of you have client side experiences. I think any agency people listening to or watching this, actually, there's a really significant opportunity. Is like we have a massive optics issue that, like, the instinctive response from both of you is yucky. No agencies, keep them away from it, because like we're service businesses and our service needs to be perceived as a good one. Anyway,
Hey,
um,
can I?
Yeah, I don't
I love
know.
this perspective. You and I, Carl. I mean, we all want to jump in here. I see there's so much value in working with agency, but the challenge is that budget always has to be a consideration. And so, how do you think about the adding value piece, but doing it in the most cost efficient way? Like, how do you find that balance? Because I definitely
Yes, exactly. I was going to just say the same thing. Like, anyone watching, like, don't hate agencies, obviously valuable. What we're saying is because of the budgets, because things will blow out, but the things that they offer, it has to be very clear cut. So what we're saying is do the work internally first before you go to the agency to ensure that you're very clear on the requirements.
yeah. And also, agencies do listen to this and go, we need to make people like us more, because it's silly that people don't